Hey guys, Mustang here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk about AGL Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who released as the part 1, or one of the part 1 Carnival LRs for the 10th anniversary. You've probably seen this guy around quite a bit now, you're aware of what he does, whether you pulled him or not. He is a very good unit. I think when it comes to the 6 summonable anniversary headliners, I would put this guy at number 3, largely just because Vegeta and Gogeta are so ridiculous, but this guy is very good as well. Not only is he a unit that performs very well himself, he also is giving a lot of support, and he is a unit that just by throwing him on certain teams with other units, you're able to make those units perform so much better than they would if he wasn't on the team. However, that of course brings us to the subject of the video today, and something that we have mentioned with some of the new units that have just released, some of the EZAs that have come out, and it has kind of caused some trepidation in the community, a bit of fear-mongering, if you will, for how we could see certain future releases be affected by the release of this Goku. So that is what we are going to talk about in today's video. Just a quick one before we get into the main topic of the video here. I want to give a shout out to everyone who has been checking out the channel during the anniversary. We've been having a lot of new people come through the channel, and as you can see from the YouTube analytics, almost half the people watching these videos during the anniversary are not subscribed to the channel. So do go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. We are getting so close to getting to 30,000 subscribers on the channel, which will be an awesome milestone to hit by the end of the anniversary. So if you've been enjoying the content and want all the future Dokkan content, not going to stop covering this game anytime soon, then do subscribe to the channel and yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. So the reason why we need to talk about this guy is his support. Now, as a Super Saiyan 3 Goku, he's perfectly fine, right? Power beyond Super Saiyan allies, defense 50%, doesn't exactly, you know, turn a unit from terrible into being completely busted or anything like that. His base like stats and performance and everything, very good. Has guard, has a 70% chance to dodge. In a lot of events he will tank pretty well even if he's not dodging. Obviously the toughest hitting bosses will still be able to do damage to him, but his post super defense is very good. He does greatly raise on both of his super attacks. He gets a lot of extra keys, so it's very easy to get his 24 key, and the more key he has, the higher his stats are. So this part of the card, perfectly fine. Nothing that we really need to worry about, right? Then he has the active skill to transform into the Giant Ape, which you can either use on turn 5, guaranteed, or at any point when your HP is 70% or less, which is awesome, because you can pop this guy out. It works to cancel out enemy attacks, right? You can get around a super, you can get around enemy abilities like healing and AoEs and stuff like that. Do a bit of damage for free, and then transform into Super Saiyan 4 Goku. And this is where the issue potentially arises for some of these future releases, and you know, the main thing people are worried about, the thing people have been commenting about for some of these recent units that have released or EZA'd, and that is the fact that he gives power beyond Super Saiyan or Giant 8 power allies 70% defense, which I don't know if people realize in some situations just how much defense that can be, and then damage reduction 10%. So you gotta think, if a character's already pushing past like 1,000,000 defense without this support from Goku, he's giving them like 700k plus extra defense for 70%. So he can help a unit that is like just over or just pushing past 1,000,000 defense get to almost 2,000,000 defense, whilst also having an extra 10% damage reduction. And 10% might not sound like a lot, but you start thinking about these big hard hitting super attacks, enemies that are doing like 5 million damage. That's 500,000 off. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that drops that 5 million to 4.5, depending on what the unit has in terms of their own defense or damage reduction. That can make a massive difference, because one of the things that we have talked about straight away, one of the reasons why this conversation has come up like more so in the last few days, is the release of this Daima Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. This Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta after turn 1, if you're putting him in slot 1, has 70% damage reduction. Now 70% damage reduction in slot 1 with the stats that he has, still relatively good. I did a video like using him in that Goku event yesterday, the final battle for the Vegeta Story Red Zone, and even mine at 55%, still perfectly fine in slot 1 throughout the event. But Against harder hitting bosses, he can start to take some damage. But the thing is, when you, with 70% damage reduction, if you're giving him an extra 70% defense and then an extra 10% damage reduction, that's making a huge difference, right? If we take that 5 million example and we take off 70%, that still leaves 1.5 million, which means this guy needs to have, because he doesn't have guard or anything, he would need to have 1.5 million defense to tank a 5 million damage super attack. But if we add in the extra just 10% from Goku, that makes it 80%. That then drops off a whole, like I say, a whole 500k. That takes it down to 1 million. So this guy, especially post-supering with the buffs that he gets, the 33% for 3 turns, he can easily get to 1 million defense, and then he tanks a 5 million damage super for double-digit damage, thanks to Goku. And this is the problem that people are sort of bringing forward now, is are we going to see future Power Beyond Super Saiyan and Giant 8 power characters being somewhat nerfed so that this Goku then doesn't make them like super busted, right? Because one of the other examples is this Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and we've been waiting for his Super EZA for quite some time, and he is a little bit disappointing, right, for his EZA. He definitely could have been a lot better, and his damage reduction is 80%. Now, is it 80% because they know if they go any higher and then you run him with the Goku, he becomes basically invincible? That could be the case, because his start of turn defense isn't that crazy, right? From the initial showcase that we did, he's probably around 300k, 350-ish. He does get more when he attacks, but he has 80% damage reduction. So if we take that 5 million damage super again, but we're running him with Goku, we're taking off 90%. That means the super's only doing 500k. That means this guy in slot 1, even if he only is starting the turn with 350k defense, he's tanking a 5 million damage super for 150k because of the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Whereas obviously if the Super Saiyan 4 Goku isn't on the rotation with him, so he's only getting 80% damage reduction, that 5 million damage super is still doing 1 million. And if he only has 300 odd k defense start of turn, then when you factor in if it's like an extreme unit, because extreme does more to super, then he's taking well over 700k, which for a slot 1 like tank, which is what he's supposed to be, that's obviously not very good. But then when you pair him up with the Goku, he becomes significantly better and a much more runnable option, like if he's on a rotation with this guy. So that of course has created this sort of fear of what's going to happen with these future characters, because Power Beyond Super Saiyan is obviously a category that's going to get tons of buffs throughout the future of the game, right? Because it's all Super Saiyan 2s, 3s, 4s, God, Blue, Legendary Super Saiyan counts as well. Obviously the only thing that isn't on here, obviously Rose is as well. The only thing that doesn't count as Power Beyond Super Saiyan is like UI and Beast. But Blue Evolution is on here. Like, this is a category that's going to get buffed a lot throughout the year, right? And future, just throughout the future of the game. Saiyan Day's coming up very soon. Is that going to be a Power Beyond Super Saiyan character? Because it's usually, you know, it's always a pure Saiyan. Is it going to be a character that is above Super Saiyan 1 and therefore on this category? So does that mean they're going to be not quite as good as they could have been, because running them with Goku will make them significantly better? And then Giant 8 power is an interesting one, because of course, you know, with everything that's happened with the end of Daima, we know that we're probably going to get some buffs for this category at some point this year. Could even be as early as Saiyan Day. And are they going to follow the same fate potentially as this Vegeta, right? Where the card could have been just a little bit better defensively because they're worried about people running him with this Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and for him being too good. Because bear in mind, like this Vegeta as an example, if they'd put his damage reduction up to like 85 or even 90%, when you run him with that Super Saiyan 4 Goku, then he's basically invincible, which I don't see a problem with that, because he's supposed to be a slot 1 tank, and then it makes him better for all the people who don't have Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and that is of course the biggest problem. If you're somebody who has Super Saiyan 4 Goku, then it's not the end of the world that you can run some of these units with him and they'll be perfectly fine. It's for the people that don't have him, or the team builds where you can't run him. Like, if you want to run this guy as a tank on the Vegeta family team, you can't run that Goku because he's not on the team. So if they're going to do this for units coming out, now obviously this video is just to speculate and talk about how this could be an issue for the future. I don't like, I'm not, you know, 100% convinced. I don't believe that, yeah, they're going to nerf every future Power Beyond Super Saiyan or Giant 8 power character because of Goku. But it is a genuine concern, especially considering seeing these units. I mean, even I think they're obviously very, very good, but the GT Super Saiyan EZAs that just came out, the Goku and the Vegeta, they're incredibly good. I'm dropping an EZA tier list a little bit later today, and, you know, no spoilers, but they're going to be on there, and they're not in the bottom half, let's put it that way. So I think they're very, very good, but I've already seen people say, even with these guys, that they could have been better, but obviously they're going to be run on teams like GT Heroes or Giant 8 Power with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and he makes them even better. So if they were better than they already are now, they would be too good. And of course, that leads us to other things we can think about for the future, not just Daima, but an EZA that I know a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time is this Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And of course, he's going to be on GT Heroes, Giant 8 Power, like a lot of these teams with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Kamehameha. Like, are they going to make this guy's EZA a little bit underwhelming? Because then if you're running him with Goku, he's going to be fine. And again, the problem is for people who don't have the Goku. I do. You know, he was the only one I didn't actually pull, and so then the Purunga Wish came in clutch and I was able to get him. But if you don't have him, and they make these units undertuned because he exists in the meta, that's just going to be not only disappointing because we want the units to be good on their own merit anyway, but it means for people who don't have him, then the units just aren't as good as they could have been, which is certainly a concern. And obviously for me and all the other fellow Heroes fans out there, you know, the Heroes agenda very much in its death throes, right? These new events from the anniversary are all way too tough for the Heroes units, but we are still going to get some Heroes EZAs later this year, and the units that are in line to get EZA this year, it's not all of them, but we have the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, and we have the Super Saiyan 4 Gohan and Super Saiyan 4 Bardock. So all of these guys are, well, they're both obviously Power Beyond Super Saiyan and Giant 8 Power. So are these guys' EZAs going to be held back on because of Super Saiyan 4 Goku? Now, these guys might not EZA until November. We know we're not getting Heroes Celebrations anymore, but we could still only get the EZAs around the same time the Heroes Celebration would have been. Because, like, this Gohan has the potential to be a really good tank on future teams, right? He has damage reduction. He gets a lot of defense on Super, so he kind of aged very quickly as a slot 1 defensive unit. But, like, I used this guy on the Giant 8 Power mission for the Vegeta boss for the Goku Story Red Zone, because in slot 3, after having attacked and got his defense, and on a team where you're running a Goku on both rotations, that damage reduction becomes 60%, and then he's got his post-super defense, the 70% support from Goku on the rotation, the 44% support from Goku's super from the previous turn, which is another thing we haven't really highlighted, but like, this ability is just ridiculous as well, right? If you're running a team with 2 Gokus and you're keeping him on rotation, this buff is active all the time, and then all the units on the rotation are getting the support. So this guy, he has really good potential for his EZA, but will they hold back on his EZA because then Goku would make him too good? Bardock has always been kind of He does rely on dodge, and he's got like HP restricted parts of his passive, but he could get a good EZA if they choose, right? Sometimes the Heroes EZAs are very hit and miss, but he could get a good EZA, but will they hold back because of Goku? And then obviously the Limit Breakers, these guys are going to be very interesting. I'm really hoping they get rid of Goku only getting his buffs when it's full power or heroes, because at least Vegeta is Giant 8 power or heroes, so he could be really good for a Giant 8 power team. But like this Goku, when we first read his kit, it was like, okay, so he seems like he's going to be a slot 1 unit, right? He's got damage reduction, he's giving superclass allies defense, and then he gets buffed by being hit 7 times. And then he came out and he wasn't really that good in slot 1. So hopefully his EZA will up his defensive ability, up his damage reduction a little bit. But again, the theme of the video, will they hold back on his EZA? Because then if you're running him with AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he's going to be getting an extra 10% damage reduction and more defense. And so they don't need to give him as much stuff in his actual base EZA, which of course would be very disappointing. So these aren't the only options, of course. Like again, Power Beyond Super Saiyan being one of them is the biggest like future potential, just because of how many characters are in this category and how many times we could see new Power Beyond Super Saiyan characters. So It's definitely an interesting thing to think about. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, because like Daima Vegeta releasing as the first Dokkan Fest from like post 10th anniversary, we would have expected him really to be a little bit better. I still think he's good. I still think he's a little bit underrated, to be honest, but he could have been better, especially as like the EX part anniversary, like Dokkan Fest TUR. He certainly could have been better. Vegeta's EZA could have been better. I don't know, but the GT Super Saiyans I think are very good, but you could still argue they could have been slightly better. So what do you guys think? Do you think that they held back on these units because of Super Saiyan 4 Goku? Do you think that is something we will have to worry about for the future? I guess when we see the Saiyan Day unit, which will be the next big release, Saiyan Day is in like, what, 10 days from now? So hopefully we should at least a week from now, we should know who the unit is, right? And if they're going to be a character that's on Power Beyond Super Saiyan or Giant 8 Power, are they going to be slightly held back or slightly underwhelming because you could run them with this Goku? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think this is a genuine issue? Do you think it's something that maybe, you know, we just got unlucky with these next couple of releases and the future releases will be fine? Or do you think they are scared of Goku and his impact on the meta? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.